All right. Well, my name is Daphne, and I just entered my 19th year as CEO and president of Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Tarrant County. My first role with the club was as a volunteer, if you didn't know that. And my first paid position was answering the phone. You may be asking yourself, where is Tarrant County? So I've got to give you a little bit of an education about that. We are first and foremost the home of the World Series champions, Texas Rangers. Sorry about that, Marcia. In Arlington, Texas. And we also hail from the great state of Texas, right, Delinda? Yes, go Texas. Um, and also, the city of Fort Worth is our largest city. It's the 12th largest city in America, if you didn't know that. Sometimes people don't know that. We're led by a 41-year-old female mayor. She's completely dynamic. It's a wonderful place to live. And this adorable cutie up here, he calls our North Fort Worth branch his home away from home. And in 2 years, in the year 2026, we will celebrate 100 years as an organization. And that will mark, that'll mark 100 years. And that makes us the oldest Boys and Girls Club in the state of Texas. You know, love us or hate us, the state of Texas is home to 10% of all kids and teens in America. A lot of kids. So 1 out of every 10 kids lives in Texas. That's 7.5 million kids. Quite a bit. 1 million of those kids live in the service area of Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Tarrant County. It's kind of overwhelming to consider when you lead that Boys and Girls Club. In 2017, we were considering this question: how do you start to consider serving that many kids? And one of the ways we started to think about it was, how many of the free and reduced lunch kiddos who are receiving free and reduced lunch have access and are served by an after-school program? And the answer is 5 out of 100. So 95% of those kids don't attend an after-school program. And, I'd argue that, the rest of those kids probably deserve and need an after-school program too. It became clear to us through the process that it would become very difficult for us to reach all those kids. We could not raise enough money to build enough buildings. Buildings are very expensive. We couldn't build them fast enough, even if we had enough money. Schools are great partners. It's a great opportunity to serve through schools, but it becomes very complex to reach that many kids and to manage that many relationships with schools. So we started thinking about how to solve this problem, and we've used lots of different strategies, and today I'm going to tell you about one of those strategies. So in March of 2020, I was having a very stressful day. You were probably having that same stressful day. So I decided to leave my office and walk outside into the parking lot. At this point, we were open 7 days a week, serving food to the community through our front door, and it was a difficult time. So all of our buses were parked in the parking lot, and so I went out for a walk, and I thought this would be stress relieving. I was walking, and instead of it being stress relieving, I found myself actually getting pretty sad. And then I started to get mad. Those buses were supposed to be full of kids. It should have been loud. Most of the time, these buses get on my nerves. But instead, they stood quiet. And I knew in this moment, we had to figure out a solution. We had to figure out how to use these assets. So even though we were serving thousands of families from our front door at that time, the line, in fact, to get a dinner from our clubs was a mile, sometimes 2 miles long every night for dinner. There were thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of families who couldn't come to our club to get a meal. It was just like before the pandemic. They weren't able to reach us. at our clubs, we still had this problem. Fast forward a little bit to May of 2020, I took a phone call from Fidelity Investments. Their largest campus in America is in Westlake, Texas. They called good friends of ours and said, hey, we've struggled to keep our kitchen open. We have a very large campus, big kitchen. We've been paying our chefs to cook. We need to find a purpose for all this food. Will you come and pick it up? I said, yeah, well, we'll come pick it up. So those buses, we started backing them into their loading dock and filling them with hot food that they cooked. And we started driving them to places throughout our service area. We drove them on 19 routes every day to places throughout our service area, feeding families. And by the end of the summer of 2020, we realized something. We were able to reach places throughout our service area that we had never thought possible to reach with the Boys and Girls Club. And that fall, we put pen to paper and created something called the Mobile Clubhouse Experience. I pitched this idea to 3 funders, close funders of ours, who actually told me outright, I really don't understand what you're asking me for, but we trust you and we will fund you. The mobile clubhouse experience takes the very best parts of the traditional club experience and puts it into vehicles, the things that are transported most easily. So think STEM, technology, and a lot of the traditional parts of the formula for impact. And we partner with the community, schools, other nonprofits, apartment communities are great partners as well, parks. When our mobile clubhouse arrives, it's like the ice cream truck pulling up on a hot summer's day. Truly, one of the things we have to pay attention to are kids running up to the mobile clubhouse before we park it, making sure that they're safe and we're safe. Very often we are traveling to those places where there just aren't other resources for kids and where kids can't get to us. But we've learned a lot in the last couple of years. Funding. We've had to choose intentionally to ask for funding and burn through some political capital to start this program. But once we started getting the funding, it's been amazing to watch how unrestricted funding, not for this program, has started to come to the organization. It's helped us scale the concept and fuel the organization. Equipment. So you'll see on the screen here, this is a toy hauler, also known as an RV. I had to learn a lot. And it's pulled by an F-250 truck. That's what that is. It's a pickup truck. We're from Texas. It has a hitch in the bed of the truck. And you basically back the pickup truck into the toy hauler. The very first day, we got our very first one. I got a phone call, and Daphne, we've not done this so well. We actually crashed it into the back window, and it was not a good moment. I should mention, we actually have 3 toy haulers, 3 pickup trucks, 6 transit vehicles. That's the smaller vehicle behind. We use these differently depending on where we're going and what flexibility we need for different kinds of programming. It's been a journey, and we've had to figure out the best combination and also how to use the equipment, what the best maintenance is, and which kinds of supplies we need to take in each situation. People are really important to this. This is one area I feel like we got right from the beginning. Good people spot good people. We took our most experienced youth development professionals and put them on these teams. We staff it with 4 different teams. And they have to be the most adaptable because the circumstances that the mobile team encounters can be very different. And so this is really critical for the success. The infrastructure is important as well. This has really helped us understand how to use mobile clubhouse for the best and highest use. Not every situation calls for mobile clubhouse. Understanding the best occasion for it is really, really important. We've also figured out how to scale it. There have been moments where we've had more funding than we've had infrastructure or equipment, and we've had to use the school day effectively, sometimes when one thing got out ahead of the other. Our safety and measurement processes have been two key areas that we've had to develop over time and are still in development as we learn more about ourselves and about the program. Opportunity cost is something I'll mention briefly. As you're learning how to roll a program like this out, and it's certainly been the case for us, we've had to focus on this at the cost of moving other things in our organization ahead more slowly. And so that was really something we were intentional about at times and something we were not as aware of, but it became obvious to us as we noticed other metrics in our organization moving slower. In 2023, we served 66,534 young people. These are unique people to our organization. It's okay to applaud, people. Do you know that this is our key metric of success, and this is a vanity metric. I'll say that. I learned that term, by the way. But this was we do practice EOS in our organization, and this was a part of what they call your Vision Traction Organizer, our big goal for how we were going to, as part of our strategic plan. We hit this key metric of success 2 years early in our strategic plan before we even knew what the mobile clubhouse was for us. 27,000 of those youth came from the mobile clubhouse program. 5,500 were just teens. And we had the very unexpected distinction of serving more teens than any other organization in the nation. And we're on track this year. We're on track this year to surpass this. We've already served over 20,000 people just through the mobile program alone. So our trajectory is to sustain this. It's true. The mobile clubhouse experience is not as high of a touch program as the traditional club model. That's true. But we didn't design it to be. If not for the mobile clubhouse, young people would not have any experience with Boys and Girls Club. On average, young people have 12 services with the mobile clubhouse per year. It would be 0 if not for the program. The mobile clubhouse is an introduction to the club for the young person, and it's our introduction to a new community. In the places where we have a lot of traction, we start to develop a different kind of relationship with that community. We send in a team who starts to develop a deeper relationship for on-site daily programming. The real advantage here is that we're already in the community with members, relationships, resources, and the conversation is at a totally different level than if we're arriving with none of that. It may seem like we got to 66,000 overnight. I promise you that's not what it was. It was a series of decisions and actions and execution that led us to that result. I'm sure you're familiar with Jim Collins and the flywheel effect. We put our attention to the biggest problem and then really applied daily effort, especially through the most difficult time, the pandemic. And then when the opportunities presented themselves, the results became evident. We program Mobile Clubhouse in a lot of different places. I want to tell you about one specifically. This is called Monarch Pass. Monarch Pass is a refugee resettlement community. So this is a very large apartment community. The U.S. Department of State resettles refugees from around the world to this apartment complex. The people who live here are fleeing from very difficult circumstances from around the world. It is truly a collection of a variety of different cultures from a lot of different countries. A lot of different languages are spoken here. If we were to even build a Boys and Girls Club nearby, it's very unlikely that these families would send their kids to that Boys and Girls Club. If not for the mobile clubhouse, it would be very unlikely that these kids would be able to attend. But because of mobile clubhouse, we can actually go right into the community. We've got the setup, the infrastructure, and the ability to serve. I can't show you their faces, Because of security concerns and safety concerns, these young people are really in a very difficult situation back at home. They're facing a new language, a new culture. Their parents are really in a very difficult situation, and I love what we're doing here because there's a fence you can see. We bring all the kids into this more secure area where the fence is, and the parents line up around the fence and they watch their kids do a Boys and Girls Club experience. They literally just stand there and look in. Um, this is that moment where you're watching a parent see their children experience that American culture, that Boys and Girls Club culture, and it's beautiful. And I'm really proud of our organization because we've created a solution that gives us the ability to do something for this community that, if not for our mobile clubhouse experience, we would not be able to do. We are a long ways off from serving those 1 million kids in our service area, but we are closer. And more importantly, we've built our confidence. We've built our infrastructure. We've built our team. We've raised our expectations of what is possible in our organization. I don't know about you, but I am really not comfortable sitting back and just letting these big questions linger. I'm sure you felt that way over the last couple of days. It is a values violation for me. If you know anything about me, I am just not okay when I see these big numbers flash on the screen, and I'm not okay in my community knowing that there's that many kids that are going unserved. When I took the job as CEO 19 years ago, um, I fully understood the assignment. It's my job to lead us to these big aspirations. Do you understand the assignment? On the screen it says we have a leadership imperative to act. Even as we're leaving today, leaving tomorrow, it's an imperative when we take the job. It's an obligation that we have to lead. And if we don't, we're failing the mission as leaders of Boys and Girls Club. Thank you.